In Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, there are 3 characters that I primarily use when I play the game. These 3 characters are my pride and joy, and they are the characters that, to me, provide the most fun and comfort whenever I play one-on-one matches or free-for-alls. These characters match not only my playstyle, but to an extent, my personality. They're exactly what I'm looking for in a fighter. They are Yoshi, Ice Climbers, and Little Mac. In the first episode of this Road to Sakurai series, I announced that I would be sticking with these characters throughout my journey. However, until now, I've primarily been using Yoshi. Of the 3 characters that I specified, he's the one with whom I feel the most comfortable. As such, he has become my most viable character and has earned me a few noteworthy results when playing against competitive players. But after playing a few tourneys solely as Yoshi, while I've gained quite a few victories, I've also gained even more losses. But now that I don't have any upcoming competitions planned for a while, I decided to use this time as a training time. As a result, I figured that the first thing I should do with regards to training is to give my other main characters the spotlight. And so, Yoshi, although you're my ace in the hole, my mighty egg warrior, my dynamite, this episode isn't about you. This episode is about my other mains. More specifically, this episode will focus on the Ice Climbers. Don't worry, Little Mac, you'll probably get your own episode a bit later, maybe. For now, it's time to focus on the bone-chilling duo, Popo and Nana. They've returned to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and they're here to give everyone a serious case of hammer wounds and frostbite. Now I just need to figure out how to play them and actually make them do those things. Hello humans, I'm Yoshiller, and welcome back to another episode of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Road to Sakurai. As I've stated previously, the premise of this series is to document my progress as a competitive Smash player with the intention that I'll one day be good enough to maybe catch Masahiro Sakurai's attention, and one day I hope to meet that man. But if I want to be good enough, then I really should practice playing Smash with multiple characters. I played my fair share of Yoshi matches. I played him in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I played him in Super Smash Bros. Wii U, and now I've decided to play him again in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But as I've shown in this series, there are just some matchups in which I simply don't know what to do as this lovable dino pal. And so, similarly to many other Smash players out there, I've decided to have backup characters. After all, there are over 75 playable characters in this game, and I'd be foolish to only play as one. And while there may be some players out there that would advise sticking to one character and becoming the best with that character, I think that playing multiple characters works in my favor for 2 reasons. 1, I'm not the best Smash player in the world, and let's be real, I don't think I'm ever gonna be the best Smash player in the world. And if I'm not gonna be the best Smash player in the world, then I highly doubt I'll be the world's best Yoshi player. But if I do become the world's best Yoshi player, then great. But I figure that it's wiser for me to spread myself out and gain knowledge on a few other characters. 2, I'm running a series here. I already run a Mario Kart series in which I primarily play as Yoshi, so I don't think I want 2 long-running series on my channel where Yoshi is the primary focus. I get it. My username is Yoshiller, but not everything has to be about Yoshi. For the sake of making my footage look more appealing, I've opted to play as another character. So, this episode will be a bit special. Because it's a fighter-focused episode, this episode will serve as documentation on me better understanding how to play as another character. This episode is less of a tutorial and more of a, well, data log for the fighter. So, I'm sorry if this episode doesn't really help anyone watching improve their ice climber skills. In fact, most of this episode is just observational things that I've noticed when I'm playing. As selfish as it sounds, this documentation episode is mainly for me, but I'll be explaining some things as if a new Smash player is watching the episode. So I might say a lot of things that are already common knowledge. Of course, I'm nowhere near perfect. So if any of you know any better ways for me to play as the Ice Climbers or any of my characters in general, and if you folks have any recommendations, please let me know. Otherwise, here's a video of me focusing on the Ice Climbers, and here are the observations I've noticed when I played as them. I'm gonna go over their strengths and weaknesses, and I'm gonna explain how I plan to play as them going forward. But there's a question I should address. Of the 75 plus characters in this game, why the Ice Climbers? Sure, they may match my playstyle, but what does that mean? Well, let's just say that I tend to prefer more versatile characters with attacks that flow. into one another. Of course, what the word flow means changes from game to game. It's kind of a loose and vague term, but to describe what I mean when I say flow, simply put, every character has flow. Their moves have nice arcs, you can see where the hitboxes are gonna go, and they kinda just go into one another. But not every character has the flow that I'm looking for. And when compared to a fair share of other characters, the Ice Climbers are pretty versatile. Sure, they have their flaws, and I'll address them a bit later in this video, but the main thing is that these characters feel comfortable to me. Some characters come a bit close, they're like a shoe that's just a little too small, but the Ice Climbers slide right on and stay nice and tight like a cozy sock. And I love socks. But there's also this concept of me choosing which characters I want to play before Smash even comes out. And I did this with Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS and Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. In those games, I claimed that I would make Rosalina and Little Mac my main characters even before I'd played as them. I played as them back in E3 2014, and they were the first two characters I used, and I enjoyed them. Similarly, when Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was announced, I decided that I would play as 4 characters. To this day, I still haven't picked the 4th character. I did, however, say that the Ice Climbers would be part of my main cast even before I played as them in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I saw them at that E3 2018 Everyone Is Here trailer, and I said, alright, I'm gonna main the Ice Climbers. And when I first played at them at E3 2018, I played as them in a free-for-all in which I was the victor. And the reason I was so quick to jump to the Ice Climbers as opposed to other characters that came back was because I played as the Ice Climbers back in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. In that game, the Ice Climbers were capable of pulling off some crazy stunts. The thing is, I couldn't quite perform any of those crazy maneuvers. I was a bit more of a casual player in Brawl. But for better or for worse, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's mechanical changes have made it so that the Ice Climbers can't perform those same stunts again. At least, they can't perform them anywhere near as easily as they could in the past. To me, that kind of works in my favor. In a way, these changes actually make the Ice Climbers better suit my playstyle. Rather than having to worry about performing very specific attacks and managing very specific combos, I can play them a bit more loosely like I can with my other main characters, Yoshi and Little Mac. Yoshi and Little Mac may have combos and they may have specific attacks that they're supposed to perform at specific times. With my playstyle, I like to feel a little more loose when I play. I just like to feel the flow of each character, and I kinda just like to make stuff up as I go along. And this time around, the Ice Climbers feel a bit more loose. This game makes it feel as though my playstyle of the Ice Climbers back in Brawl translates well to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So the fact that I decided I would main them before the game even came out was both a planned idea based on my playstyle, as well as a bit of a lucky decision. But beyond all of that, I think it's important that my mains aren't too similar in their natural playstyles. See, I classify characters in this weird way, and I consider Yoshi to be more of an all-around fighter, while Little Mac is more of a speed fighter. To me, the Ice Climbers are pretty much the definition of a technical fighter. These are 3 characters, each from a different class system, that matches my playstyle with their flow. Does that make sense? Well, maybe not, since I haven't really elaborated on what these class systems are. It's just my own classification system, but okay, I'm gonna discuss that real quickly. It'll make this overall discussion of the Ice Climbers a bit easier. So yeah, let's talk about character classes. Every game with a lot of stuff in it has a way to categorize everything. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has a lot of characters, and it has a lot of stages, and it has a lot of modes, but you could subdivide everything to make things easier to explain. So that's what I plan to do with the characters. I could always make a whole video on this topic at another point, but I'll try to keep things brief here. Since this video is supposed to be about the Ice Climbers, I don't want to linger on this topic for too long, but character classification is a good way to categorize and discuss characters so that players can better understand how a character could, and probably should, be played. Different players may have different ways of categorizing fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Nobody has to agree with the way I categorize things here. In my opinion, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has 5 main types of character classes. The first is the all-around class. This is your standard, doesn't fit into any other category type, that is pretty well equipped to deal with most other classes. All-around fighters don't typically specialize in any one specific thing, they're just pretty good at a lot of things. They have a lot of options in the way that they can be played, and while some all-around characters may have a fatal flaw or two, these characters have enough options to where they can still stand their ground fairly well. The next class is the power class. These are characters who are known for their heavy, hard-hitting attacks that can knock out opponents at ridiculously low percentages. These characters are usually heavyweights, such as Bowser and King K. Rool, but they don't necessarily have to be slow. They just have to hit hard. On the opposite end, we have the defense class. These are characters that generally prefer to stay away from their opponents, land chip damage, and then go in for the kill. Characters that rely on projectiles typically come to mind, but I know that there are plenty of other characters that can play a fairly defensive game without the reliance on them. And then there's the speed class. These are characters that love to run around and run in and combo you to oblivion. And not only do they move quickly, but they attack quickly too. Sometimes these characters aren't necessarily strong, but they make up for that with a quick combo game and an easy way to rack up your opponent's percentages. And then lastly, we have technical characters. In layman's terms, these are the characters that tend to rely on a gimmick. Whether the gimmick benefits the character or hinders the character, these are characters that can't exactly be played without the gimmick. They're not just a fighter that happens to have a gimmick, they're a character that relies on them. For example, Little Mac has a KO gauge, but he doesn't rely on the KO gauge to fight, that's just a benefit of the character. But other characters, such as Olimar, basically need Pikmin to fight. Sure, he has 1 or 2 attacks that he can use without Pikmin, but it'd be quite foolish to try and play an entire match without plucking any Pikmin. Trust me, I've done it before. So when I say a character is technical, it means that, like it or not, the character has a gimmick that is important to the usage of that character's fighting style. And that's where the Ice Climbers come in. They're a technical character. You're technically playing 2 characters in one, and while you could play as just one Ice Climber, it's advised that you play with both of them. Now, I acknowledge that some characters kind of overlap in this class system. Little Mac is kind of both a speed and a power character, and I suppose that Lucario is kind of a technical character and a power-based character if you think about it. So as I said, the Ice Climbers are 2 characters in one. I'm actually controlling 2 characters at the same time. That is, in a way, how they were always intended to be played. The second climber, who often goes by the name of Nana, has a special CPU artificial intelligence file that is unlike any other CPU AI file in the game. Nana will follow the commands of the player, but only within a certain radius of the main climber, named Popo. When Nana is outside of the specific radius, she essentially becomes a computer player whose sole intention is to get back within the controllable radius. When both climbers are together, their recovery can go farther. They both attack at the same time, thus making their hitboxes bigger and stronger, and they can take hits from one another. Both climbers can be KO'd, but it's important to note that Popo must be KO'd in order for the Ice Climbers player to lose a stock. If only Nana is KO'd, nothing really happens, although Popo is severely handicapped. With all of this in mind, the Ice Climbers were meant to be played side by side at all times. In order for the Ice Climbers to be a viable character, you need both Popo and Nana. And it's this idea that makes me classify the Ice Climbers as a technical fighter. The fact that these 2 characters must work as a duo, and that the second climber isn't always controlled by the player, is what makes this character a bit more comprehensive to understand than most other fighters. In this way, the Ice Climbers can technically be played in 2 different ways. As both climbers, and as only one climber. And as both climbers, there's 2 ways that this duo can further be controlled: synchronized and desynchronized. In order for me to play as the Ice Climbers and for me to utilize this duo to their full icy potential, I should become familiar with the best way to play as them in each of their styles. Because each match with the Ice Climbers starts with Popo and Nana beside each other on the same platform, I figured that I should best discuss how I can play as them when they're synchronized. That's the most often way I'll be playing as them anyway. When the Ice Climbers are synchronized, all of their attacks are stronger and have a bigger hitbox. And with certain other attacks, such as their neutral special, these little ice cubes you launch out will launch 2 instead of just 1. Of course, because the climbers are constantly beside each other when they're synchronized, this can make it easy for opponents to separate them, or worse, hit them both at the same time and just send you flying altogether. But the biggest perk in playing as the Ice Climbers when they're synchronized comes from the fact that you'll hit stronger and recover better. And look, you just want to have Nana around anyway, because I've seen instances in which Nana has landed a finishing blow just by being close to Popo. You could have one climber go flying while Nana still defends you in the background. Their neutral special shoots out a bunch of mini ice cubes, and it's not exactly a great projectile. I suppose I can use it to keep enemies off of me, but they can hit the ice cubes back so easily that it's kind of pointless to use. I've found that the best time for me to use this move is actually when I'm trying to recover and I got knocked up into the air. That way I can use the ice cubes to keep my opponents away so that they can't knock me through the ceiling of the stage. But otherwise, because my opponents can hit this projectile back so easily, I don't think it's a great spacing move. With regards to recovery, their up special and side special moves become drastically improved. If both climbers are present, their up special essentially becomes a tether move, whereas if only one climber is present, then the remaining climber will just do a simple leap in the air. And at that point, I'd say that air dodging is better than trying to use the up special. And as for the side special, thanks to a mechanical change that was introduced in Smash 3DS and Smash Wii U, the side special move for the Ice Climbers now counts as a multi-hitting move, but the final blow is significantly more powerful. And with both Ice Climbers present, their side special move could be a good get off me move. It's a nice move just to rack up some damage and then land a final blow that pushes them away. However, I have had some issues with this move. I'm still trying to understand it, but sometimes I'll use the side special move to recover and I just flat out won't grab onto the ledge. I imagine it's because there are certain frames of animation in this move where the characters are still performing the attack and therefore can't grab onto a ledge, but I still don't know what those frames of animation are. Their down special move is an interesting one. I know that at high percentages it can be a great move because it can immediately freeze opponents and then I can go in and kill my opponent with a smash attack, but otherwise it's kind of a weird move. I guess its best use is to actually attempt to break shields with it, force opponents to maneuver differently. It doesn't really deal that much percentage and it doesn't do too much overall unless your opponent is at a high percentage, so I don't know. It's a good get-off-me move, I guess. As for their standard smash attacks, I mean, they're fine. I've already discussed that they have a nice flow to each of them, but I don't really know if there's a specific combo that works best. I guess up tilt into up air is a pretty safe one, but that's all I can really think of. And actually, speaking of air, I find that the Ice Climbers are probably best when they are in the air, at least in the way that I play them. Their aerial attacks are so strong. Forward airs and up airs and back airs, and even their neutral airs are all good. Even just one climber in the air can be pretty strong, and this is usually how I get stocks knocked off of my opponents. Now, as for their grabs, I mean, previously these were the grab champions. They were called the ice grabbers for a long time. In this game, I suppose their grabs are still good. You can still do follow-up attacks pretty easily. I don't really know which grab is the best, but obviously the fact that Nana can no longer attack opponents while you're grabbing is a huge nerf to the character overall. But again, I was never really good with grab combos back when I played the Ice Climbers in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, so this doesn't really affect me. Allegedly, the best way to desynchronize the Ice Climbers on your own is to start with grab combos. So, if I wanted to play as a desynchronized duo, I guess the best way to start doing that would be to practice grab combos. But otherwise, yeah, you're not gonna kill with these grabs. They're mainly for setup purposes, but I guess they're just right. But overall, because of the improved recovery and wider hitboxes for each of the Ice Climbers attacks when they're together, I'd say that keeping the climbers together is my preferred way to play. But when I actually play as them as a duo, my mindset says to play as them as if they're just a solo character with an extended hitbox. I really only take into consideration that the character is a duo when I'm recovering. If I play as them like they're a solo character, then I can quickly adapt when one of the climbers gets knocked out. I perform the same types of attacks and I perform the same tactics as much as I can. However, as time goes on, I hope to better make use of the fact that these Ice Climber characters are two characters, because many pro players will tell you that the best way to play as the Ice Climbers is to actually desynchronize them. The most difficult, but debatably the most useful way to play as the Ice Climbers is to have both Popo and Nana in play, but to have Nana perform different actions than Popo. This can happen when Nana is lagging behind Popo and is performing different inputs that Popo used earlier. I don't really have much footage of myself pulling off this style of gameplay, but simply put, playing as the Ice Climbers in a desynchronized state allows for combos to just keep going and going. In theory, you could have Popo land one attack while Nana quickly lands another, while Popo again quickly lands another attack. And because now you're technically playing as two characters, you could essentially get your opponent stuck in a loop. But I just can't get the desynchronization right. Of course it's supposed to be difficult. If it was easy, then everyone would be playing as the Ice Climbers. But with my playstyle right now, I'm not too focused on this, because if I keep trying to desynchronize the Ice Climbers, I feel like that'll be my downfall. Versus, if they happen to get desynchronized, then I may go in for a desynchronization combo. If you can desync the Ice Climbers in just the right way, you can basically control the entirety of the match. However, if my opponent has control over me, then I just have to play as the Ice Climbers defensively. Or, as I said earlier, as if they were just one character. And as I said earlier, I couldn't pull off this type of stuff in previous Smash games. And with it being even more difficult to pull off in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I'm certainly not ready to do this type of stuff now. At least, I'm not ready yet. And those are the strengths and weaknesses of the Ice Climbers. They're powerful when they're a duo, they're decent when they're solo, and they're kind of a mixed bag altogether. You can do some crazy things with them, at least most players can, but pulling that stuff off in general is not easy. They've got good tools, they've got good flow, they've got generally pretty good options for most tactics. They're not a power character, they're not a defensive character, they're not a speed character, they're a technical character. And they're the technical character that I've chosen to play. I mean, it's thanks to the creator of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that the Ice Climbers even have any fan interest. Super Smash Bros. Melee made them popular again, and now that they're back in Ultimate, it's good to see that they haven't been forgotten. And I hope that by adding them to my main set of characters, that I can perform well enough to one day meet Masahiro Sakurai himself and thank him for putting them back in the game in the first place. That wraps up this episode of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Road to Sakurai! And I'd like to thank you all for watching. See you all next time in the next video when maybe I enter a tourney or maybe I'll discuss something else in this game. I don't know. Is there something you want me to discuss? Please let me know. Otherwise, bye-bye, humans! Whoosh! Hey everyone, if you enjoyed what you saw and want to see more, be sure to click the subscribe icon underneath the video. Be sure to click on the bell icon to be notified when a new video is out. Also, one of the best ways to support me is to follow me on Twitter. On there, you can see announcements, updates, and previews for all of my upcoming content. My tag is @Yoshiller. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you all in future videos. Whoosh!